Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene, where empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve the world. At this church, we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of people of all races, ethnicities, genders, sexualities, disabilities, and backgrounds. We are committed to being a church where people with marginalized identities, particularly Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, transgender, non-binary, and LGBTQI persons, and disabled people can bring their whole selves and expect and experience full inclusion. My name is the Reverend Lois Van Leer. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and it's my pleasure this morning to be leading worship with guest musician Judy Fjell, coming to you live from Helena, Montana, our worship associate Jean DeVenny, and our collaborative pianist, Susan Giordano, and our tech support staff person, Kat Johnson. Welcome you all to worship. Hear these words from Jack Kornfield, who is a Buddhist teacher, and these words are from his book, Path with Heart. The things that matter most in our lives are not fantastic or grand. They are moments when we touch one another, when we are there in the most attentive or caring way. This simple and profound intimacy is the love we all long for. These moments of touching and being touched can become a foundation for a path with heart, and they take place in the most immediate and direct way. Mother Teresa put it like this: in this life, we cannot do great things. We can only do small things with great love. Let us worship and be a community together in this time and space, grounded in love. Welcome. On Thursday evening at 7 p.m., we offer a compassionate connection circle where if you have joys or sorrows of your heart that you would like to share in a small group, please tune in. You can find the connection in our weekly newsletter called Weekly Connections. For those of you who are new to Unitarian Universalism or to this church, or if you're an old timer, you are welcome to attend Faith Forward on Monday, tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's a great experience for people to learn about our faith tradition and about our church. Love Right Through is a conference that's coming up. It's a chance to help grow our movement, and registration begins tomorrow. It's free. I'm going to have Kat drop the registration form in the chat, and you can find that connection again in our weekly connections. And just to remind everybody that there is a virtual coffee hour that happens right after the service. For those of you who'd like closed captioning, it is now available, and the settings and controls can be found under live captioning at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're visiting us, please take the few minutes that you have to fill out the visiting form that will be dropped in the chat. And for those of you who don't know, we're about to start our annual budget drive. Jennifer will be kicking off the drive with a sermon preaching next week, but as a sort of warm-up testimony, Linda Krennicke, who's a member of our congregation, has created the following video.
Hi, my name is Linda Krennicke. Thank you for the opportunity to share what I love about UUCE. UUCE, how do I love you? Let me enumerate. Our music, Mitch Davey, Suzanne Giordano, the choir, and all the guest musicians. Our staff, Rev Lowe, intern Jennifer, Ezra, NRE, Jody, Jen, and Izzy in the office, Super Tech Cat, and our custodian, Gani. The dozens of hardworking, passionate volunteers on our diverse committees, Spirit Jam, Sunday services, compassionate connection circles, coffee, tea, and thee, young adult gatherings, nights of whimsy, and social hour with the board. The many ways to connect, film groups, book groups, poetry and birder groups, sister circles and men's groups, neighborhood groups, crafters. Our varied means of communication, the weekly connections, Facebook, Instagram, phone calls, and emails. And the ways we raise money, bake sales, auctions, holiday bazaars, book sales, greeting card sales, and the pledge drive, which starts in just a couple weeks. And all these things have prevailed despite the pandemic. Oh, I love you with all my heart. You have given me a safe harbor, a place to feel belonging and significance, an opportunity to live in an atmosphere of growth, spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually. I am home here.
Greetings, everyone, especially those of you that I met before in Eugene. I'm Judy Fjell, and I'm going to do a song that Lois requested. It's a song by Harmony Grisman called Break 'Em On Down. Now, if you've got room to stand up and move around, or if you're just feeling inspired to move your arms, your body, whatever, please do. The words are simple. I'm just going to sing it 3 times. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls, these walls, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls, these walls, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down. Break 'em on down, these walls, these walls, these walls between us.
Break 'em on down. Rabbi Hillel was born sometime around 110 BCE. He was a great scholar and sage of the Talmud, the teachings and commentaries of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. As we light our chalice flame, let us listen to these questions he famously posed. If not for myself, who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? Our call to worship was written by Pamela Rumenick. Why community? To remember that one is not a whole number, that we need both roots and wings, that strength comes from relationship and mutuality, that we know life in and through one another.
This chalice I wear, I do not wear it lightly. This chalice I wear, it tells of life and death, people who live in the strength of their beliefs, and the martyrs who die in the strength of their beliefs, this chalice I wear. I do not wear it lightly, this chalice I wear. I do not wear it lightly. This chalice I light. I do not light it lightly, this chalice I light is a chalice of love. Love for community, love for the world, love for one another, and love for myself. This chalice I light. I do not light it lightly, this chalice I light. I do not light it lightly. And yet this chalice burns with joy. I know that I am not alone. This community of faith is my home. This chalice that burns, I do not view it lightly. This chalice that burns, burns deep in my heart. Flames of compassion, sacrificial tears, a beacon of hope that shines through the years. This chalice that burns, I do not view it lightly. This chalice that burns, I do not view it lightly. This chalice I am. I do not live it lightly, this chalice I am. I carry to the world, vowing to live true to my beliefs, and knowing I could die for living true to my beliefs. This chalice I am. I do not live it lightly, this chalice I am. I do not live it lightly. And yet this chalice burns with joy. I know that I am not alone. This community of faith is my home.
Our reading today is by our own Reverend Lowe. Aspirations for a Beloved Community. Mindful that we are perfectly imperfect, fallible human beings, we commit to the covenanted community as a whole, not to particular persons or one minister. Hold boundaries that maintain the overall health and safety of the congregation as a whole. Insist that this church is about you, not me. Ours is a tradition that values the individual, but not individualism over community. We develop an intersectional lens when doing the work of the church. Commit to the full inclusion of BIPOC, trans, and LGBTQI persons and persons with disabilities in the worship and programming of the church. Recognize that not only do words matter, but how we share our words matter. Is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Realize that intent does not equal impact. Are generous with one another in our interactions. Refrain from gossip, secrecy, and violation of confidentiality. Stay with conflict committed to resolution and the restoration, not of consensus, but of right relationship. Actively seek to repair and renew broken relationships, forgive ourselves and each other. Exercise less judgment and more curiosity about differing beliefs or perspectives. Are aware that each of us has our own unique filter on the world that is not necessarily shared by all. Call one another in with love. Take responsibility for and actively engaging in and doing our own spiritual work and support others in doing so. Ask for help when we need it. Offer help when called upon. Say yes to supporting the life of the congregation through the offering of time, talent, and treasure. Create room for the cacophony of diverse and divergent voices by, quote, hearing one another into speech, unquote. Give equal weight to listening for understanding and for being heard. Lead with love and strive for compassion. Realize that revelation is not seated and sealed, and that we will be called upon to keep our faith alive by pushing ourselves beyond what is comfortable and safe to what is compassionate and just by ever widening our circle.
Several weeks ago, the Reverend Jill McAllister preached about beloved community, and she defined it as ethical living writ large. She said, in the beloved community, the baseline is the common concern for the good of and well-being of all. Jill talked about some of the ingredients needed to create this community that is, as she said, always in the process of being born, of being created action by action. We need the ability to listen to one another with curiosity. We need the skills to openly and effectively deal with conflict. We need to be able to apologize and forgive, to refuse to reduce conversation to mere gossip, to work on ourselves rather than trying to change others. This morning, I want to add to those ingredients, not because Jill left anything out, but because she gave us something to build upon. And I call these ingredients the B's, as in the letter B of beloved community. The first B is balance. In Unitarian Universalism, it's the delicate balance between the individual and the communal. It's also the balance between the merely rational and the intuitive, and the balance between what is known and familiar and what challenges the known and the familiar. In the so-called secular world, the scale that weighs the balance between the individual and the common good has been broken by the weight of fraught individualism. Whatever civil covenant this country had was reduced to a caricature of itself on January 6th. What happened that day was done in the name of individual freedom, without the understanding that individual freedom carries with it responsibilities to others. That individual freedoms are ultimately not protected by the individual, but by society, by the communal. What we saw on January 6th was not the expression of freedom, but an expression of anarchy. In our religious world in Unitarian Universalism, we have covenant that grounds us, that guides us, that keeps us accountable, that repeatedly calls us back into right relationship and connected to one another in the community. It is the presence of covenant, which is an agreement that's freely and mutually entered into by two or more parties that balances individual freedoms with the common good of the congregation. UU covenants express the ways we wish to be in relationship to and with one another. Though we absolutely affirm the right of personal expression, we do not let it hijack the whole community. For us, beloved community is the beacon. It's the light that we're drawn to, the light that guides us as a community, not only in our present, but also in a path forward into the future. It is a vision of equanimity, equality, justice, compassion, and radical hospitality. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was an architect of beloved community in action, believed that such a community was not merely aspirational, but attainable. A UU colleague wrote that the writer G.K. Chesterton's view on Christianity also applies to Dr. King's vision of the beloved community. Chesterton said of beloved community, "It has not been tried and found wanting. It has been found difficult and not tried." The part about difficult and not tried stood out to me in regard to the balance of the known and familiar and the challenge of what is not. Sometimes we come to church, we come into the beloved community to be comforted, to rest in that comfort of the familiar when everything else around us is in chaos. We depend on that. We depend on the fact that we know the hymns, the rituals, the way the service flows. And yet this living tradition of ours keeps disrupting the familiar and the known. It pushes us out of our comfort zones. It says that church is not only about comfort, but it's also about challenge. We change the words of those familiar hymns in an effort to be more inclusive of marginalized identities. We use readings that come from voices on the cutting edge that say our comfort has come at the price of another's discomfort. We ask, who is gathered at the table and who is missing? And demand that we set not just one, but many places for those who have yet to come. And when we do that, we find, as Chesterton indicated, the discomfort of the difficult. The conversations we're having denomination-wide about race are difficult, they're uncomfortable, they induce fear, confusion, frustration, pain, and we find them frankly confounding. What will happen to our comfort of the familiar if we do the work of anti-oppression? But more importantly, how uncomfortable will our tradition become if we don't? As for the balance of the rational and the intuitive, well, for decades, UUism has prided itself on being the rational religion without the trappings of the magical or the superstitious or the mystical. Or at least that's what we have tended to think about other religious traditions, or even proclivities within our own. Other traditions, being full of all three, are therefore less than, less meaningful, potentially harmful, and to be dispensed with. Humanism, essentially the belief that it's up to us kids, that there is no deity, and that the human race is constantly progressing onward and upward, has found itself lacking. This is not to demean rational human capability, or for that fact, the mystic among us. But it is to say that the rational is not enough, and nor is intuition enough when it comes to meaning making. We have need of both. And since the 1980s, there's been a longing in our tradition for something more, something with spiritual teeth and depth, something that doesn't stop with the brain, but travels the heart and embodiment. The incorporation of intuition has put the human back in humanism. Sure, if the world and we and other life is to be saved, it's up to us, all of us. If a deity wants to show up and help out, intervene, toss some magic our way, I'm open. But ours isn't an either or religious tradition, either rationality and the intellect or intuition and the mystical. It's a balance of both. And all of the above leads to the ingredient of boundaries for building the beloved community. And I want you to think of boundaries not as something that keeps people out, but as the thing that allows people in. The main importance of boundaries is that they, quote, set up and manage the expectations that both parties have of the relationship. Boundaries make relationships and communities safe and somewhat predictable places. Boundaries define expectations. They describe the limits of the kind of care a church community can offer. Those boundaries not only protect the community, they protect the people who may be, quote, very vulnerable to what they perceive to be rejection by making clear what our limits are. Churches aren't all things to all people, nor is any church or congregation a place for all people. Like covenants, boundaries set expectations of the ways that we want to be in relationship with one another. They demonstrate how our no can be as sacred as our yes, in building relationships of trust, authenticity, health, and safety. Bravery, not as the going to war kind of bravery where the consequence may be death, but bravery as in to go into the unknown, the unfamiliar, and the uncomfortable. Bravery in beloved community is done individually and communally. It's all about the challenge I referenced earlier. If people think that faith is passive or has no teeth or demands, they don't have a clue about what faith is. Because faith is committing oneself not because of, but in spite of a lack of certainty and assurance. I call that brave. Beloved community requires bravery because it throws us into a common lot where we bump up against not only what we have in common, but what we don't. To engage with difference and not shy away from it, that's brave. To risk articulating and sharing what you hold as of ultimate meaning and value, brave. To dare to reveal the broken bits and pieces, the less than perfect picture that is painted for the public persona so one can survive, brave. To offer and ask for help, brave. To know that your values and ethics require that you act to end injustice, brave. To be able to say, the way we are doing things isn't working and we need to change or die, brave. To open your hearts, even when compassion fatigue or despair or hopelessness has set in, brave. To take on issues when it would simply be easier not to, brave. To allow ourselves to be impacted by those whom we previously have viewed as other, well, that's brave on both of our parts. If the beloved community is not brave, it will become stagnant and implode upon itself. Choose bravery. Once you've chosen bravery, possibilities, potential become boundless. It's another B word. Here I'm using the word boundless to mean devoid of limitation, when we allow imagination and creativity to tumble forth, to let go of fear and say, why not, instead of no way. To ask, what's the worst thing that could happen? To risk going into the unfamiliar and unknown, to bounce off of one another in the process of creation. And tied to boundless is the notion of bounty, as in abundance. that the model of scarcity has no room in beloved community, for beloved community is all about abundance, that we not only have enough, but more than enough when we offer to our community our individual gifts. The sharing of our gifts builds until abundance enables gratitude, which in turn brings forth commitment and a sense of the possible. Emma Goldman famously said, "If I can't dance, I don't want to be in your revolution." Well, if I can't have beauty, I don't want to be in your beloved community. Human beings need beauty. To have our senses awakened, to have them taken by surprise, because that's what creates awe and humility. That's what allows us to try on reverence. The beauty of our worship, the textures of the music, the nuances of the words, the invitation of silence, the colors and movement of ritual, the richness of images, the beauty of shared tears and laughter, of mutual enjoyment, the beauty of shared food and fun and fellowship, the experience of beauty, shared beauty, binds us just as covenant does. The human spirit craves beauty, comes alive in beauty. It's interesting that the Navajo term for the spiritual path, for their practice of the holy life, has been translated as the beauty way. Believe, not as in a creed or doctrine, but to believe in one another, to believe in this community, to believe that what we embarked upon is meaningful and worthy of our time and of our efforts and of our finances. To believe that together as community, we can make a difference not only in one another's lives, but in the world. Our mission statement asks that of us. Empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve our world. Believe in this community. Believe that together we can do the improbable, the irrational, and impossible things. That without this community's existence, our lives would be diminished. That there would be a hole, a gap, and a gap in the lives of those who are waiting for the liberation of Unitarian Universalism. Believe. The definition of beloved is quite simple: to be very much loved. Imagine yourselves as very much loved. Imagine this church and Unitarian Universalism as a community in which persons find themselves very much loved, not tolerated or put up with, but embraced and enfolded into the community, very much loved, without qualification. Persons who have traditionally lived at the margins of our society. What a gift this community could offer to move BIPOC and the trans and non-binary, queer, and disabled persons from margin to center. To let them know that right along everyone else, alongside everyone else, they are very much loved. To know that for now, these are the folks who are in need of our ability to very much love, and that right behind them, there will be others who will be in need of being very much loved. Beloved community needs the ingredient of blessing. Blessing is something we bestow upon one another through ritual and words. And in beloved community, we say, this place is your place. We metaphorically gather around and lay our hands upon you, offering you energy and spirit, infusing your life with our life's blessings. We bless you, saying, you are whole. You are sacred. Your life has meaning. May your days be accompanied by the spirit of life. May you know balance, boundaries, bravery, bounty, beauty, belief, blessing. And may you know that you are very much loved. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
a difference. All my heart and soul and mind, all your heart and your soul and your mind are welcome here, so I'll draw near. We can make a difference. We can make a difference. The ones who have come before, all the living and those yet to be, are giving us hope, are giving us faith that we can make a difference. And I can make a difference. We are worthy and we are loved. We are worthy and we are loved. Knowing this we know, we will make a difference. And I will make a difference.
In the beloved community, we form a chalice circle that is deep enough and wide enough that we can offer to one another our joys as well as lay down our sorrows. In this time, I invite you to share those joys and or sorrows in the chat that will be enabled.
Our covenant holds us, let us rest assured. Our covenant holds us, let us rest assured. We are free and not alone in our covenantal Justice calls us, let us rest assured. We are free. We are free and not alone in our covenantal home. Justice calls us, let us rest assured. And our people lead us, let us rest assured. Our people lead us, let us rest assured. We are free and not alone in our covenantal home. Our people lead us, let us rest assured. Our chalice unites us, let us rest assured. Our chalice unites us, let us rest assured. We are free and not alone in our covenantal home. Our chalice unites us, let us rest assured.
Let us rest assured that the joys and sorrows of our hearts can be held and lifted up in this beloved community. There are a lot of joys today, and vaccinations seem to be leading all of them. And congratulations to those of you who are able to get them, and for those of you who are still waiting, may you be able to get them soon. Concern for folks who are struggling with suicide and thoughts of it, or who are isolated and alone. Joy, just to be here. Joy for gardening, joy for sunshine, joy for the New Day Rising Conference that was held yesterday across our nation for Unitarian Universalists, joys for the bees of beloved community, joys for the caretakers who are taking care of themselves as well as those whom they care for. May all of our joys and sorrows be held tenderly in one another's hearts until we meet again next week.
There is a unity that makes us one. All souls are worthy and sacred. There is salvation in this lifetime. Courageous love will transform the world. Truth continues to unfold and be revealed. Truth continues to unfold and be revealed. There is a unity that makes us one. All souls are worthy and sacred. There is salvation in this lifetime. Courageous love will transform the world.
Each Sunday in February, our offering will be given to Lane County Mutual Aid. In the spirit of Rev Lowe's words just spoken, tap into our bounty from a source of abundance when you give your offering today. Lane County Mutual Aid works from a belief in abundance, class solidarity, anti-racism, and disability justice, striving for collective liberation. LCMA provides material support to people in need because of the pandemic and the wildfires, focusing half their resources on Black, Indigenous, and people of color, known as BIPOC. Our offerings will be sent to LCMA to support this effort. Thank you so much for your generosity, and may your offerings of your lives be transformed, that lives can be transformed.
Our chalice extinguishing today comes from the French Jesuit priest, scientist, theologian, philosopher, and teacher who lived in the first half of the 20th century, Teilhard de Chardin. And he wrote, "We are one after all, you and I. Together we suffer, together we exist, and forever we recreate each other. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen."